Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidil Anbiya wal Mursaleen. Welcome to Dallas Roundup with Mujib Qazi. I am extremely thrilled and honored to have a very special guest with a very special program on Kashmir today. With me is Javed Rathore, who is the chairman for Kashmir Solidarity Council. Javed Saab, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
कैसे हैं आप? अस्सलाम वालेकुम.
Alhamdulillah, Walaikum Salam. I'm really delighted to join your program.
Absolutely, pleasure is mine. So let's get started. The January 5th, August 13, 1948, a resolution was adopted by UNO. India and Pakistan both were the parties. Then the subsequent resolution was brought to the UNO on January 5th of 1949. Both resolutions have some sort of a hope for the people of Kashmir towards the plight of Kashmir that we've been waiting to see some sort of resolve for the 73 years of period. Dr. Saab, I would like to ask you a question to start off with this. What is the pragmatic point of view of those resolutions in today's time and age?
Ji, thank you very much. I think these are resolutions have two perspectives. One is we can call it pragmatic. The reason we can call it pragmatic because whole United Nations adopted these resolutions, and in these resolutions, not only January 5th, but there was numerous resolutions about 1819. In most of resolutions, they passed these resolutions unanimously to hold free and fair plebiscite in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. India and Pakistan both are signatories to these resolutions, and they both agreed. And United Nations was supposed to appoint a plebiscite advisor to take necessary measures and arrangement in order to hold a plebiscite. But unfortunately, it didn't happen. There are many other reasons we can discuss later. And so this is important and this is pragmatic that we have our bona fide issue which is accepted by the United Nations and international community. And they gave us a promise. You know, if common person promise something and he don't live to his promise, what happened to him? So it's an international body, international community, United Nations. They promise us, and if they are not able to fulfill their promise, so it's a big question mark on their ability, on their existence, and their commitment to the Charter of United Nations.
Can I add
another aspect? Let me tell you the other aspect of which is not pragmatic, and I think there was happened at that time, and I don't know why it's happened. Might be because of the circumstances. Might Pakistan think that a plebiscite will take sooner? They did one amendment in the resolutions that they try to confine the plebiscite, right to self-determination, that whether people of Kashmir can join Pakistan or India. And even according to the definition of plebiscite, so that can't be limited. That should be open. When you say right to self-determination or plebiscite, it's mean whatever people want, whether they wanted to join with one country or other country, or independent. The loss we have because of this, confinement, that later on we are not able to go to the world and tell that this is issue of right to self-determination or a right of a nation, because the issue India is propagating it before international community as a territorial dispute or dispute between both countries. And unfortunately, international community also got stuck somehow buying that perception, which is not in our favor. Yeah, go ahead.
So 73 years of time, numerous resolutions. We didn't even talk about at the UN security level for about 50 years or so, until the August 5th episode of last year by the Indian revocation of Article 70 and 35. My question is that, Do you think those resolutions, even the resolution that was passed on the August 13 of 1948, and subsequently when the supplementary resolution was submitted on January 5th of 1949, do you think both of those resolutions have any relevance in today's time and age? The reason why I keep emphasizing as this relevance is because we have waited for 73 years of time, and the international community has been asleep. How long more do we have to rely on these promises? That is the first question. That do we really need to rely on the promises of international community? That's number one. Number two, we don't have very many other options either. I totally understand. I get that. But my question is that should we just keep talking about these resolutions, the plebiscite, and the referendum, and in the right of self-determination, because Kashmiri as an underdog nation, do you think the people would even listen to them?
So you have two part of question. One part is about the relevance of the resolutions, and second is whether we should do something else or we should just stay with the resolutions. Reality is always reality. Reality can't change. So the reason is the plebiscite concept was given by American President Woodrow Wilson, and this concept is being also called like a Wilsonian concept. And definition of plebiscite is right to self-determination means a right which cannot be transferred, which cannot be changed, which cannot be withdrawn, which cannot be snatched, and which cannot be denied. So for that very purpose, these resolutions are very much relevant because they are according to the UN charters. And if United Nations exist, these resolutions exist because they are according to the Charter of United Nations. If United Nations abandon itself or diminish the charter or change the charter, then we can say that these are not valid, are not relevant, and they are very much relevant. And I think we have a case before international community, and this provides us to give a reference all over the world that this is the promise which was made to us by international community and United Nations, and they are not able to execute their resolutions. And we demand the execution of these resolutions, implementation of these resolutions, so they are valid. And other point you raise that we are stuck. Like, our Kashmiri situation is like a languish. We are stuck at a point, you can say, not a dead end, but it's really very difficult situation where we are. And we are thrown at these situations because of United Nations, international community, and also we also ourselves are responsible. But I think I'm a pragmatic person, and I believe that every issue has a solution. Every problem has a solution, but it depends how we pursue and how we follow that, how we wanted to resolve, what is our strategy, what is our narrative. I think this is the time we should think out of box, we as a Kashmiri, and also other people those support us like Pakistan and any other country. We should reach out to them, and we should develop a clear narrative which we can sell to international community to muster maximum support, because our narrative or our issue is based on the rights and based on the facts. We have irrefutable facts on our side. Rather, our enemy, our aggressor, oppressor, India don't have a facts on its side, but India have only perception, which is created on the base of propaganda and lies and destruction and misleading. So we have a fact on our side, and if we have a right policy, right strategy, we can muster international support, and we can force India, we can pressurize India to implement UN resolution. The reason is nowadays the world, because of in spite of all geopolitical situation and interdependency and all economical benefit, world become a global village, and we all depend on each other. So in this scenario, I think India can't live in isolation. India has to accept the reality, but it's depend how we pursue the case and how we present the case to international community.
In your discussion, there were some very crucial points that I want you to elaborate more a little bit on that. Number one, you mentioned that Kashmiris need to have a unified narrative. Unfortunately, if you see Kashmiris, a different organization, you have a very large organization that you reach out to the people at the national level and international level. You hold the conferences and on international level, reach out to congressmen and the senators and the local officials who you mentioned that that was the promise by the president of United States who would help us get this issue resolved. Now, Kashmiris themselves are divided into so many groups and so many narratives. What is it that the Kashmiris need to do at this point in time that once each member of each community or organization end up meeting with these representatives, so all of them are sending the same message rather than giving different perspective, different narrative. Speaking of Pakistan, I want to ask you to answer me two questions. Number one, what should be that unified narrative for the Kashmiris themselves when we go and talk about the international community? What is the written permanent policy of state of Pakistan towards Kashmir?
These are two different questions. And as liberation of Kashmir itself is an uphill battle, and I think before that, the union of Kashmiris and bringing Kashmiris on one point agenda itself is an uphill task. But we have to take that task, and that's pertinent, that's inevitable. And what the narrative could be, as some people in Kashmir says that they want independent Kashmir. Some people say they want an accession with Pakistan. And Indian occupied area, some people might say how much they are, I don't know, but some people have an idea or believe that they should join India. So in this scenario, every party is stubborn on their stand. If we will continue those kind of stands, we are not going to go anywhere. And we need to get united, first of all. And only one narrative can bring a unity. And that narrative is right to self-determination, plebiscite. Let the people of Kashmir decide what they want. Whatever they decide, their decision should be accepted by all parties inside of Kashmir, state of Jammu and Kashmir, and around the globe, and India and Pakistan. Whatever people of Kashmir decide in majority, that should be acceptable to everyone, and of course, everyone will accept that. I think there is the only one narrative. But if we present this issue sometime with the reference of there is this unfinished agenda of partition, we will confuse people. A lot of people doesn't know what is the unfinished agenda. If we'll present it as a Muslim issue, we will lose the support. If we will present it as an issue of independence only, we will lose the supports within Kashmir. If we'll just support, accession with Pakistan, Kashmir banega Pakistan. So then we will also lose support within ourselves and abroad. So all other narratives or slogans are not able to take us anywhere except only one slogan, which is plebiscite, right to self-determination. And I generally use the word referendum because in Europe and America, on every issue, every other day, in every counties, states, referendum happen. It happened in East Timor. It happened in Ireland. People got their liberation. So people know the term. So that's why this is the term which everyone knows. And I think how we can be successful. First of all Kashmiri get united under the banner of one slogan. After that, we can reach out to international community and ask them to join us. The reason not only for Kashmir, because this is not only a Kashmir issue. We have to take it out of Kashmir. We have to make it international issue, regional issue. Why? The regional issue, because Pakistan and India, both countries have 1.6 billion plus population. And there is not only a poverty, but destitution means poverty, unbelievable poverty. More than 40% people are living below the poverty line. And both countries are consuming their resources towards nuclear and technology and army and all those kind of things. So this is important for the people and necessary for the prosperity and peace of South Asia to resolve this issue. This is a regional issue. And secondly, it's an international issue because of two things. One is state of Jammu and Kashmir is situated between three nuclear powers. And if any time war erupt, when war erupt, it can easily transform into a nuclear war, and which could be detrimental for the whole world. And second thing is also that this is a issue of right to self-determination. This is a fundamental right, and it's a human right. When it's a human right, so every citizen of the world has a responsibility to stand up for human rights, no matter get abused any part of the world. If anyone deny human rights anywhere, it's a responsibility of every citizen, because we are citizen of the one world. We all are human beings. So this issue has multiple reasons it should address by international community, but we have to present this issue in a broader perspective, and we have to take the plight of people of Kashmir on the streets of not only Srinagar, but on the street of Washington, on the streets of Chicago, on the street of England, Europe, everywhere, even in the churches, in the mosques, in the synagogue, in the mandars. We have to build a world coalition, global coalition. That's very important.
What is the written policy of state of Pakistan towards Kashmir? Because there is a contradiction, because when the government changes, the narrative changes. Prime Minister last year of Pakistan openly made a statement, and Kashmiris around the globe welcomed it very well, that Kashmir belongs to Kashmiris and let the people of Kashmir decide. Could be independent Kashmir. But on the other hand, if we were to ask that what is the written policy of the state of Pakistan, we are having hard time finding it. So do you think that every country has its own interest, every country has its own foreign policy to work around it for their own benefit? Pakistan, Kashmiris heavily rely on Pakistan, that Pakistan would help liberate Kashmir. But when there is absence of a clear directions, how would that be a possibility?
It's a very important question, and it has multiple dimensions. Some people think might be some people in Pakistan, they want to continue the status quo because a lot of people are getting benefit from this, and some people have some kind of perception that some people think that Kashmir is on burden, and some people think no, Kashmir is part of Pakistan and they have to fight for Kashmir. And I personally think, as nation of Pakistan is concerned, people of Pakistan are concerned, they are very much with the people of Kashmir, their hearts and minds with the people of Kashmir. But unfortunately, in Pakistan, consistently we have instability, political instability, that contributed in the policy making and executing system. And also last year when I visited Pakistan after Imran Khan's speech was wonderful. Everyone appreciated. I appreciated. And we hold a hearing in Congress, Capitol Hill, and almost in every country, every parliament was discussing Kashmir. But after Imran Khan's speech, there was a silence. I went out to Pakistan, met many parliamentarians, senators, journalists to find out what's going on. And what I find a confusion. I think Pakistan is confused.
I think, Dr. Saab, I think I got the answer. Because I'm running out of time, I do need to ask you another question. I think that's very important. You have recently launched a new organization in Azad Kashmir, the Kashmir Awareness Movement. Can you give us a little bit of rundown on that? There is a question that is being raised in the circle that I want you to pose it to you. See if you have a answer to that. You started this new party in basically in Azad Kashmir. Do you want to become a prime minister of Azad Kashmir?
Let me tell you, it's not a issue of becoming a prime minister. Actually, I consulted with a lot of Kashmiri American, Kashmiri Canadian in England, France, Germany, Kashmiri diaspora. And we had a couple of Zoom meetings and a lot of scholars, some PhD from, like prestigious universities, some environmentalists, some law graduate, barristers, different people, and they all have a empathy and passion to serve Kashmir, and they are not happy about the Azad Kashmir situation, and they said we should do something. And after long deliberation and discussions, everyone reached on a conclusion that Kashmiri diaspora should form a party. And the purpose of forming a party, because currently the parties those are working in Azad Kashmir, they are like a franchises of Pakistan's political parties, and we have a disadvantage. Two advantages are there. One is that if government change in Pakistan, Azad Kashmir government, you know, become useless, and they don't have a cordial relations with the federal government, and we got a problem. And secondly, if they have a same party's government in Pakistan, they always try to please the political masters, and they don't pay concentration towards the development of people, to development of the Azad Kashmir, and giving people their basic necessities like employment and communication, infrastructure, education, health. So that was the reason people wanted to have a party. But because of the corona, keeping view the corona situation, I suggested everyone this is not appropriate while we are sitting here and we form a party. But what we can do, we can start an awareness movement among the people, and we can communicate with the people through social media from here. And if corona situation become easy, corona went away, then we can go there on the ground, and we can launch a campaign all over Kashmir. We can go door to door, we can knock every door, and young people are willing to welcome us. I receive calls every day, every other day. People want us to come over there and launch a new party. Because of corona situation, we are not able to do that, but our awareness movement is continue, and purpose of awareness movement is that in the long run we should have a Kashmir based party which shouldn't have a animosity with any party of Pakistan or arm of any party of Pakistan.
My apologies for interruption, and I am actually end of my time. We need to have another session with you to elaborate more about your ambition and your work that you're doing for the Kashmir. We're really grateful and appreciative of the fact that you're putting your time, energies, and resources toward the awareness of the Kashmir issue and for the cause of Kashmir. My advice to the people of Pakistan and to the government of Pakistan is to consider very seriously, consider appointing chairman, a Kashmiri guy, Kashmiri origin guy of the Kashmir Committee, who can go out on the international forum and propagate the issue of Kashmir, because the guy who is wounded can feel the pain of that wound, not the one who is sitting outside. Thank you so very much for joining us. It was an absolute pleasure talking to you. My time is up today. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching our show today. Until next time, take good care of yourself. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
It's my pleasure, and thank you for having me.
Absolutely.